Hello.
This is Finish Big.
This is where you come for all of your Big Finish gossip, scandal, and of course, critique.
Yes, we are working our way through the Big Finish catalogue, every single release in order, basically.
So far, we have covered the stunning first season of Beneath Summerfield and the less stunning first 5 releases of the main range. Is it called the main range? Is that what it's called?
The monthly adventures, I think it might be technically on the website.
I think it started as the main range and then it became the monthly adventures.
Because there were so many other ranges. And
it's become a long-winded joke now that if you suggest that Big Finish create a spin-off 3 times, it actually will, pop into existence.
I know. They are constantly surprising us.
Well, okay. Here's a question for you, though. What would you choose as your own Big Finish spin-off?
They've pretty much done everything that I can think of or that I want, that I've thought of before. So I would have said Brigadier Bambera, but they're doing that now. The #1 dotty old ladies detective agency starring Amelia Rumford from Stones of Blood, Amelia Ducar from Seeds of Doom, and who would Miss Hawthorne?
Miss Hawthorne! Oh my god! Imagine. Obviously, they'd all have to be played by different actresses. That would be incredible, wouldn't it? Consider me available for any future assignments, Sir Robert. Au revoir.
The finder, therefore, the thief.
And what is it? In the cause of science, it's our duty to capture that creature, Miss Hawthorne.
Well, you wait. It will happen. It will happen. All those combinations that you sort of always think, I wonder if, and then suddenly they just appear in a box set. It's weird, isn't it? We're right at the beginning of the Big Finish of the main range. These first, you wouldn't even dream of some of those things happening. I wonder when it sort of happened so slowly. We haven't really noticed that suddenly it's all these, Peladon box set with the 8th Doctor, 6th Doctor Mel and everyone. When did that happen? Well,
I tell you what it is though, right? And I think in latter day Big Finish, they have sold out a little bit because there is a little bit of this A plus B plus C. River Song plus, I don't know, that Captain Arnold from The Web of Fear, on Peladon. There is a bit of this sort of throwing together these very fanish ingredients and seeing what sticks. And sometimes I think it does, and sometimes I think it doesn't. But it's all just to get sales, isn't it? These characters you love all coming together.
Well, yeah, and it works because I see the news article and I'm like, that sounds exciting. I want to hear what they sound like together. But it doesn't always. When you get it, you buy the box set and then you're like, oh, actually, it's not as fulfilling maybe as some of these early ones.
But I think the first 100 main ranges, I don't know actually, because I think when the trilogies come in, they are really, really good. But kind of the first 100 is like the golden age.
Well, shall I actually, no, before I go into what we're talking about today, there's something that I have been doing that I will do every couple of episodes. So I was keeping a tally of the actors that Big Finish use.
Yes. Nicholas Briggs, 500.
So I'll do this every now and then just to see who they're using again and again, who's playing different characters. But there are slight rules that I just need to clarify.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. You and your bloody rules.
Okay.
Taking out the novels, taking out audios read in the third person. Yeah.
Well, okay, just because it will get too complicated. So this is just acting credits, okay? And only for different characters. So, for example, Lisa Bauman is Beneath Summerfield, and she was also in Whispers of Terror. She's not going to get a tick every time she's Beneath. She's only got only when she plays a different character. So the Doctors will only get the one for being the Doctor and the companions. But if they play other parts, they'll get a tick. Okay.
But Nicholas Briggs, I know I'm going to bring it back to Nicholas Briggs because he does play a lot of parts. If he plays a Dalek and if he plays Sherlock Holmes, and that's considered. Yeah. But if he plays a Dalek in 500 stories like he does, then the Dalek just counts as one.
It just counts as one, yeah. So we're just doing that, okay? So I'm going to do the top 3. There's lots of joints.
Please places. Joe Carsten's on that list, please.
Well, we're only going by what we've done so far, not today's lot. So in at number 3, with 2 credits so far each,
Okay.
we have, there's quite a long list now, we have Lisa Bauman.
Amazing.
Colin McTire. I'm not sure who he is.
Colin McTire. I'm sure your CV is very impressive, all chalking up all these Big Finish credits.
Yep. Sophie Eldred.
Yeah.
Nicholas Pegg.
Nicholas Pegg's been twice.
Yeah. Barnaby Edwards as well.
Okay.
Stephen Wickham.
Oh, that's Joseph.
John Wadmore.
Oh, that is.
Michael Wade.
Oh, yeah, he would play 2 Nazis, yeah.
Colin Baker.
Amazing.
And Andrew Fetz.
Fetz, whatever.
Fetz.
Hang on, so that's 3. Who's number? How many for 2?
Okay. So all of those have 2 credits each so far. And now in at number 2, these are everybody that's have 3 credits so far.
Wow. What? In 10 stories?
Yep, so far. So we've got Nicholas Briggs.
Yeah.
Alistair Locke.
Oh, yes.
Anthony Keach.
Is that Van Zell?
He will be. Yes. Oh, no, he is. Yes, and he has been. So those are in at number 2. And in at number 1, with 4 credits so far.
Oh, my God. Who?
Is Mark Gatiss.
Oh, he's everywhere. Okay, hang on. He was in Oh, No, It Isn't. Was he in Sirens of Time?
Yes, Sirens of Time. Oh, No, It Isn't. Just War and Phantasmagoria.
Oh, my God. He was getting a lot of work back then.
So there we are.
This is before League of Gentlemen exploded and he was busy doing telebox.
Yeah. So I've written down literally all of everybody that's done like
oh my God.
so far.
Oh my God, I'm a little bit scared by this list. All right.
So
you're literally going to write a list of every fucking actor that's been in every Big Finish.
Yeah, well, they are going to recur again and again. So I haven't done this batch yet.
Are frightening me right now. Okay.
Look, we're here because we're like geeky and we like lists. So welcome everyone. You love it.
I ain't that geeky. Excuse me.
All right. Well, I'm talking to everybody else that's watching this.
I've got a life.
Anyway, right. I'm gonna tell everyone the 5 stories that we're going to be talking about today. Like we said, from the Doctor Who monthly adventures. So are we ready?
I'm ready.
The Marian Conspiracy.
You wicked child, how dare you?
The Genocide Machine.
It's one of the most clinically brutal acts I've ever had to witness.
Red Dawn.
I don't have a quote for that one, I'm afraid. There's always one.
The Spectre Lanyon Moor.
Griffin, you have deserted me.
And Winter for the Adept.
I cannot believe what I am hearing.
There's so many good quotes from Winter the Adept. I can't wait till we get to that.
Hey, man.
Love, marriage. I cannot believe what I am hearing.
That was a very strange Scottish accent you just did. That's why you're an actor for Big Finish.
I'm not going to end up on the list, am I?
No. Okay.
Well, let's start off then. Really good, really strong 5. Well, for me anyway, for this lot.
I think this is a pretty mixed 5, but I think the why are you rolling your eyes? You were horrible about the last 5.
No, I was reasonable.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's your opinion, it's reasonable. It's mine is eye roll. Oh, get it. But we're starting strong. We are starting bloody strong.
Okay, so the Marian Conspiracy.
Yes.
Here are the facts. This was released in March 2000 and stars Colin Baker and Maggie Stables, making her first appearance as Evelyn Smythe. It also features Nicholas Pegg, Joe Castleton, and Barnaby Edwards.
We literally both had an orgasm when we realised that Joe Castleton was in this one, because neither one of us was aware.
And it was written by Jacqueline Rayner, directed by Gary Russell, with music by Alistair Locke.
Alistair Locke was busy, wasn't he, during the early stages of Big Finish?
You love Alistair Locke, don't you?
I think he delivers terrific music and post production, and actually, I'm not saying it like it's terrible when he ducks out of it because David Darlington and people like that come in, but he is very good at what he does. Very good. Think about Oh No It Isn't. He did that, all the post production for that, and it's really, really strong. So
it's great. Well, there's a
hail
lot.
Alistair Locke. All hail the post production designer.
Well, I am going to say to good Queen Bess as we introduce Evelyn Smythe.
Good Queen, what is it? Good Queen Bess. Aye? What they all say.
Silence.
And death to traitors. Death to traitors. Can I start with this one?
Okay.
I think this is extraordinarily good. I think it has something for both you and me. You like a nice, clean narrative, and this is as clean as it gets. Like, it is not overly complicated, this, is it? But it's just really interesting. The history is well researched because Jacqueline Rayner, who wrote it, we both loved Jacqueline Rayner, didn't we, when she was doing these stories?
Yes, we love her writing. So, yeah, I love this.
This is Marian Conspiracy's got Jacqueline Rayner going through it like a stick of rock, isn't it? It's memorable dialogue, great characters in this, like across the board, even down to like William Leaf and George Crowe and all of that, you know, Francis de Noailles, Queen Mary, like all of the characters are really strong. But come on, who is introduced within this story? The love of my life, one of my top 5 companions of all time across all medias. What's her name?
Evelyn Smythe. And it's so different to our previous Sixth Doctor story, Whispers of Terror, and so early on to introduce a new companion. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe you've got the gossip on this, I bet. Was it Colin Baker, as part of the discussion with Colin Baker, to give him a more sort of mellow, because they could have just carried on with Perry, couldn't they? Or why didn't they decide to do that so early on in this second release for him?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Don't you think that they decided to give Perry to the 5th Doctor during this initial run, and to give Colin Baker like a new lease of life with a new companion? More sympathetic is the way they describe what Jacqueline Rayner's task was in this, to write a more, and she was gagging to write for the 6th Doctor.
But it's interesting then, but they're not they're not trying to recreate the TV show. They've gone right off already, because they could have done Mellow with Perry in between, you know, before Trial of a Time Lord, and made it really nice and done all these adventures. I just find it really interesting that they've decided, right, this is a whole new, completely different era for the 6th Doctor.
Well, you didn't really you did like Colin Baker in Whispers of Terror, but you didn't really like the 6th Doctor and Perry and that kind of antagonistic relationship. So I'm assuming this is much more your cup of tea.
Oh, I love it. And I love Evelyn, and I loved her straight away. And actually, this wasn't the first Evelyn story I heard. It was Spectre of Lanyon Moor was actually the first one I heard.
Sorry.
But even in that, I just immediately loved her straight away. And I'm going to have some chocolate cake in.
Oh, where's mine? I haven't got any chocolate cake.
I know. Sorry. And she says as well, I haven't done it. This is bought cake. I haven't. When I make chocolate cake, though, I'm going to do what she says in this and put real chocolate in the mix and see if that's Evelyn's secret.
You just know a slice of cake from Evelyn Smythe is going to be the best cake you've ever had in your life. I mean, in those DWM previews, they draw her as being really fat. So she knows her cake. You know, she's eating a lot of cake. Is it good?
That was really good. It's a historical story for the 6th Doctor, which you didn't really get on TV.
Mark and the Rani, that was it, really, wasn't it?
Not really. This is like more pure historical.
Yeah. So it's ticking 2 boxes, isn't it? It's giving him like a companion that really complements him in a genre that he never really had. So it feels so fresh. I was going to say about Evelyn, right? I really love how they kind of start her off in episode 1, and she's the antagonistic one. It ain't Colin Baker, so he's trying to get a word in as he's talking about history and stuff, and she's just talking over him again and again to a point where he turns around and goes, "Oh!"
A lot of harm could have been avoided if Elizabeth had come to the throne a few years earlier, you know.
Oh, really? Well, as I was saying, just before her coronation, William Cecil said to me, Doctor...
The thing is, Elizabeth didn't let personal views come in the way of ruling well. She didn't take a husband because she knew what trouble it would cause, no matter what her personal feelings might have been. The Virgin Queen, duty before men. That's how things should be.
Well,
now,
Cecil...
Mary, on the other hand, nearly plunged the country into war with her insistence on marrying the Spanish chap. And Elizabeth certainly didn't take to burning people at the stake just because they had slightly different religious views to her.
Well, that's rather a simplistic view, if you don't mind.
I certainly do mind. I have studied this period in depth for over 30 years.
Well, I'm sure Elizabeth will be delighted to hear that you approve.
So funny.
Do my favourite bit, but from episode 1.
God.
Da 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 dee dee, knit one, pull one, da 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 da, knit one, pull one, da 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 da.
She goes, because my granddad used to say this to me. She goes, "I'll make you some cake if you're good." She's so good, but almost immediately, it's just a beautiful pairing. Their chemistry is incredible, the two actors. And to this day, Colin Baker still says, like, Maggie Stables was the perfect companion. And she really is. And boy, what a run they have, a run of stories.
And she's completely different to Ruth Lee from The Sirens of Time.
Hey, girl.
I mean, and the oldest companion up until that point as well.
They finally did it. And this is Gary Russell again, making, like, you know, bold and I think correct creative choices. And he absolutely wanted an older companion. And you can do it on audio because you don't need to see him running around and things like that, do you? Like you do on the TV show.
It's funny, though, you mentioned that the preview comic of her. That is not the image of Evelyn that I have. It's Maggie Staples.
Well, Maggie Staples is on the covers of later ones.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah.
I mean, it's weird because I think she first turns up on the Sandman. I don't know what they do to her face on that cover, but she's all green and scabby. Almost as bad as that bloody picture of Ruth Lee you draw.
But this story, like you said, very linear, very easy to follow. It's Jacqueline Rayner's writing. I think that's what it is.
But like energy, there's energy to it, isn't there?
It doesn't. I was never bored in this at all. All. And then, they're 25-minute episodes, not overly long. Great cliffhangers, great twists and turns throughout. You don't actually need to know the history. I wasn't 100% sure of Mary and Elizabeth and all of that.
But I did understand afterwards. I think she very cleanly plots out that period of history.
So actually I got this on cassette as well because
cassette or CD?
I had the CD. But my gran had it on cassette because she listened to audio things and she liked history. So I got it for her for her birthday.
Your gran?
So and my mum liked it as well because they like the history side of it as well. Although she was a bit confused that she was like, who's this doctor? Why is it not Tom Baker? But apart from that...
Tom Baker is the only doctor, Yeah,
basically. I think this got a wide appeal, and I would definitely, if someone hasn't listened to any Big Finish before, or even Doctor Who on audio at all, this is a great one to start with because it's got that, the timey-wimey part of it as well. It's got everything in this.
What is it? The Nexus point, I'll cease to exist. That's a great cliffhanger as well. And there's no cliffhanger of Colin Baker going, you're destroying my mind.
Well, no, but they're intelligent cliffhangers that move the story on to the next part. That's what I like.
They're my favourites. Is hinges in the narrative rather than moments of jeopardy. And one of the best cliffhangers ever for Big Finish is where Evelyn goes, "You're my great great grandfather." That's terrific. And they play that out, and then he's just like in the next episode, he's like, "Oh, don't be ridiculous!"
But it's great making Evelyn a history lecturer as well, because when she does go back in time, she knows her stuff and she's interested, and she's a bit like Barbara in a way, isn't it? But actually done with a bit more interest.
Do you know what? I think the older, so my top three companions on TV are Barbara, Sarah, and Donna. And they're actually, I mean, Sarah's quite, I mean, she's a career woman. Barbara's an older career woman, and Donna's certainly an older companion as well. So there is something about that I really, really like, rather than these, Dodo and that young slip of a girl.
But I liked when she has those, she's got her handbag and she's got the hot chocolate and the stuff, and she's with those characters because she's separated from the Doctor quite early on. So it's a bit like, out of time, and she's got those things. And do you mind? They're some of Marks and Spencer's finest, stuff like that.
Is that knickers she's talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought she was talking about tampons.
No, Marks and Spencer's don't do tampons. They do like nice underwear, don't they?
Oh, well, why has she got spare knickers in her underwear, in her bag?
Well, that's what women do.
I don't think they do it. I don't carry spare boxes around just in case I get lucky. Jesus Christ.
No, she packed some things, didn't she, when they were going off? I think she said she probably she was packing in her flat, wasn't she? So she probably stuffed some in. If you're going off to history, take some underwear.
I think that Queen Mary is really well played as well. I think that's a really well played, because for the most part she's quite sort of gentle and she's kind of sympathetic. And they play, the Doctor's very kind to her and Evelyn's critical of her, but then meets her and she's very kind to her. And then in episode 4, man, she cuts loose and she's evil. You wicked child, how dare you?
But it's nice when the Doctor goes to the court to attend to her as the Doctor. And because the Sixth Doctor hasn't had scenes like that. He never had that on television, where he's that more gentle, delegate type of character. And I like the relationship between them and that sort of speech that he has.
That scene, that's the turning point, I think. That's the real turning point in his character.
What would you say if I were to tell you that I once destroyed an entire race? That I have led friends to their deaths and caused numerous wars? That my intervention has led to peaceful races taking up arms and good people having their faith or reason destroyed? Because I failed to act, millions upon millions of people have been enslaved or killed. What if I had done all those things, but had always believed I was doing the right thing?
If you were to tell me that, I would say, may God have mercy on your soul.
And do you know who that scene is with? Joe Castleton.
Oh, it's not with the Queen, is it? It's with Lady Sarah, isn't it? Yeah. What's it? Then may I wish God have mercy on his soul.
I can see why you're not on that acting list,
Well, Lady Sarah, as played by our favourite, Joe Castleton,
Joe Castellan,
star of Auton, Zygon, and a bit part in I Know It Isn't. She is outstanding in this.
She's very good. Yeah, she is really good. Yeah, where she's like, Your Majesty, no, please spare my husband. In episode 4.
And you've got all that sort of not who done it, but who is the person that's again. And when I first listened to it, it's a nice twist, isn't it? In that,
well, I see. I didn't suspect that the two of them, her and the priest, were in a relationship, and that she was going to be the one to administer the poison, because they were pointing the finger so clearly at the priest and at Francis de Noailles. Okay, I will just say one thing about that accent. Oh my God. No, Your Majesty, I will not do this to you. That's a proper cod French accent, isn't it?
They're great actors though. Mistress Evelyn.
That's Jeremy James again. Oh, he's really cute in this as well. I like the bit where he's doing the zip, and he's so happy to be doing it.
And listening to this as well, you can see all of that happening, and it's a smallish cast. Very well realised. Only a few sort of locations. You're back and forth. I love when the Doctors and Evelyn are trapped in the Tower of London.
That's really good. When he jumps into the Thames And he's like, "Oh, I've escaped out of all these places," and then she just laughs at him when he jumps in the water.
And you get straight into it. There's enough plot that actually you don't need Evelyn being like, "Oh, what's happening? What's going on?" She goes straight into the story. She's involved. There's
smart.
none of that you sometimes get with the first companion about, "Oh, I don't believe this," or all that kind of stuff. She's in there with the plot on her own straight away.
You know what's a great, really funny scene where they're trying to escape the tower and she's going, "Oh," pretending she's got a headache. And then when she wants the doctor to save the two that she's gotten to know, she's like, "Oh, my headaches are coming back," and she's lying through her teeth.
That was the only bit in terms of the story. So you get to part 4 and you have all that stuff with the Queen and the plot is uncovered and the Queen's going to forgives Lady Sarah and all of that. And you think it's all wrapped up pretty much straight away. That's at the beginning of part 4. And then there's the extra bit where they go back and save the other guys. I don't know. I felt like that was, I don't know. That was the only bit where it just seemed like that was just sort of tacked on, and it was like, oh, is this just extending the episode a little bit more? But no, it's worth doing, but it just seemed wrapped up too early, that's all.
They say in the Big Finish book that the ending was, so initially it was quite a bloody ending and all those characters were murdered. And the actors, so Colin Baker and that said, no, let's save these characters. So Jack Rayner kept having to save, but she's going, "Oh, God, I'm supposed to be having this real impactful ending, and now everyone's surviving." But I don't know, they're really nice characters. I don't want to lose them. So I quite like
it's great. It just felt I did sense there was some bits sort of tacked on the end. It didn't naturally, because you sort of had that end climax at the beginning of part 4 for me. That's all.
Climax.
So.
Okay. Well, I have some facts about this story, if you would like to hear. So Jacqueline Rayner was charged with introducing Evelyn and bringing life to a new, more sympathetic Sixth Doctor. She didn't create Evelyn, i.e. Gary Russell gave her like a basic synopsis of the character, but she did have free reign in writing her. Okay. And she's quoted as saying, "Maggie is the female Colin, intelligent, erudite, and well-read." Why they're well matched. Wendy Padbury was approached to play Mary, but she wasn't.
Oh God, I thought you were going to say Evelyn then. I was like,
no, Mary. She would have been a good Mary, I think, actually.
Actually, yeah.
But she wasn't free. And she talks about, Jacqueline Rayner talks about like writing historical characters and how she actually felt a bit uncomfortable writing for real characters because Denoy, or however you say his name, Denoy. Stop! You're talking a French accent more often, honestly. Maybe we will get you. We'll get you on that acting list.
For
God's sakes. Je t'aime. Sorry. Anyway, he was a real historical character, and she said, like, when you're writing dialogue for real people, like, you could be prescribing them motivations that they never had in real life. So technically, it could be libelous. So that's quite interesting. Also, this is the longest, and they didn't do it again after this, the longest Big Finish play to be recorded in a single day. So this was all recorded in one day, and it's long, So normally they do it across 2, don't they? So this was the only one where that happened.
Wow.
I think this is the strongest story of the main range that we've done to date, and it rivals the strongest we listened to in the Bernice first season, and it is Jacqueline Rayner that is involved in this and those. So I think at the moment, she is like the top contributor to Big Finish.
Yeah. Do you know what? It makes me want to just type in her name on the Big Finish website search and just get everything that she's been involved in, because it's amazing. And yeah, absolutely. This is a classic. This is a Big Finish classic still to this day.
You'd get Doctor and the Pirates if you did that. You'd get the Doomwood Cursed. You get, what's it called? The Bernice one with the Grell Escape.
Yeah, she's done so many good ones. But yeah, we both agree, this is absolutely amazing. And I did a good and bad. I just put good introduces Evelyn, and I have not got a bad for this at all.
Oh my God, I put good. Evelyn is beautifully characterized. And obviously, I was trying to do just one this time. And bad, I put as an audio, I think this is practically perfect.
Yeah, I think so. Wow.
There we go. We can agree. It's amazing.
Well, no, this is just so amazing.
It is
I don't know what you can complain about. I do not know what you can not like.
Now, the next story we're talking about, I listened to in about 15 segments because I struggled. Whereas the Marian Conspiracy, I listened to in one go. That's how good it is. I listened to the whole thing.
Okay, so this is the Genocide Machine up next. Now, I really like this one. So let's show. Here we go. The facts are.
It's like a Pertwee Dalek story. Of course you love it.
So this was released in April 2000, starring Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Eldred. Also featuring Louise Faulkner and Nicholas Briggs as the Daleks, obviously. Written by Mike Tucker, directed by Nicholas Briggs, with music by Nicholas Briggs.
Wow, Nicholas Briggs is busy.
So now these next few have very special, I suppose, memories. You know, when we've talked about on our podcast and stuff, when you first watch a TV Doctor Who story and there's certain ones that are like, take you right back to when you first watched them, or they're your favorites because of whatever reason when you first watched them. That's the same with big finishes for me. There's releases that when I first listened to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, yeah. So the Genocide Machine was the first sort of signing that I ever went to meet Sophie Eldred.
Wow.
So
that is that. My God. Look at that cover compared to Land of the Dead. That's way better, isn't it?
It's really good. And so I had got the Sirens of Time in the post. And then this was the next one I actually got. I went to the signing and got this. So there's Sophie Eldred. She's written it sideways for some reason.
She's quirky.
And just looking inside as well, I have to say I've got, for some reason, got Jason Hay Gallery. Okay. Is that Alistair Locke? Alistair Locke. And Exterminate from Nicholas Briggs. And I remember because they were at this was at the 10th Planet signing. And there I was going along, and I remember Nicholas Briggs was like, "Oh, have you got the others?" I was like, "No, just the first one." He was like, "Oh." But then I listened to this over and over again because it was one of the only other ones that I had, and I hadn't got on well with the Sirens of Time. So this one is always my go-to. Get into bed and just listen, and I really enjoyed it.
Get into bed with the Genocide Machine.
Yeah, and it was also billed as Dalek Empire Part 1.
Yeah, that worked for me this time because you could really tell this was like the first part of their plan. And obviously it all goes wrong because it's the Daleks and it always fucking goes wrong. You think they'd stop, right? You think they'd just go, well, look, nothing ever works out. Why don't we just stop trying to take over the universe or Kasharat or wherever they are this week?
So you've got this one. So you've got Genocide Machine Part 1 and then a story for each of the other Doctors building this Dalek Empire.
What's the next one?
So then it's the Apocalypse Element, Mutant Phase, and then Time of the Daleks. So that's for the other Doctors. And then that sort of leads into when they launched the spin-off Dalek Empire. So then you don't need to listen to them to understand anything. They're not really that much linked. There's just some extra background stuff. Because I think in this one where they're trying to get the information from the library, there's mention of that or something in Dalek Empire. That's all. It gives them an idea, or the defeat of this makes them do something in Dalek Empire. That's all. It's just some extra background stuff. Obviously, you've got the Daleks back officially for the first time.
Yeah. Well, they sound a bit. It's interesting because there is a fact that they did a specific ring modulation for the Dalek voices, and then in episode 3 when they were recording that, they couldn't get the same one again. And if you listen to this, the Dalek voices change between episode 2 and episode 3. And episode 3 is where it sounds like the Nick Briggs like normal ones. But the early ones, they kind of sound a bit like that and a bit angry. Well, so I'm going to tell you something that's going to stun you rigid.
Okay.
Because I really didn't get on with this. And like when I eventually talk about my Doco review of this, I think I gave this a 3 out of 10.
Oh my God.
I really didn't get on with this back then. I quite enjoyed it this time. Now, I'm not going to say it was spectacular because I just don't think Mike Tucker has it in him to write particularly stunning dialogue. And I think dialogue is really important. And it is literally like, here come the cliches like Carsheraton rain on my head.
No, yeah, I agree. The dialogue is a bit off of this. Maybe it doesn't want any plants growing on it.
He gets really grumpy in the first episode with Engin or whatever his name is, Elgin, for no reason whatsoever, and it is all a bit functional. But the sound design is terrific in this. There's just like all the jungle sounds. It's kind of like whack, 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 noises in the jungle, like really, really atmospheric.
And with the rain and stuff, and like
rain, yeah. Yeah. And I thought Nicholas Briggs's music was really good as well. So all the production I thought was really, really good. Yeah. So I've got to say, I will give it a 3 now. I'll probably give it like a 6 or something like that. But that's double the points, you know, like that's quite a shift.
Well, I don't think it's regarded as a classic, but I really like it because you know that I love a Terry Nation and a Terry Nation Part 1.
Oh,
and
yes.
This is a very Terry Nation stuff. You know, you've got your jungle, you've got your Doctor and Companion investigating, you've got a robot duplicate, you've got a Tarrant, Bev Tarrant.
Yeah. And the first appearance of Bev Tarrant, who would go on to play a massive role in Bernie's. I mean, who would even see that coming?
Well, yeah. And okay, let's talk about Bev Tarrant because it's again another small cast in this. You've really got Bev Tarrant and Elgin and the Daleks.
Well, and excuse me, and Catalogue of Prink, who never shuts up. Well, that's the joke anyway.
But I think that's isn't that clever for audio where they're always talking, and you maybe hear just sort of like a.
Well, no, and it's paid off because then he eventually says, "Get out of my library" or something like that in episode 4, doesn't he? You know, which I thought was really nice.
But it's I really enjoyed that, and I don't know, it just captured my imagination. This one, I can see the jungle exactly like the Spyrodon jungle, but dark with rain and. Oh
no, I saw it as like something from a movie, like a proper Brazilian jungle with like this great ziggurat pyramid in the middle and all of that.
When I was young, I didn't know what a ziggurat was, so I couldn't really imagine it.
Excuse me. Last week you didn't know what a ziggurat was. We had this conversation.
Right. I know what it is now. And you also have turn of the classic from Planet of the Daleks, our Emperor Dalek there, as well, the Supreme.
And do you know what was great? In episode 4, when the Emperor Dalek was like, "You have fucking failed." Oh, sorry. No, the voice is lower than that. "You have fucking failed. Self-destruct." And he's like, "Ah!" I always love it when Daleks bitch. It's the best.
Yeah. But I love the idea as well of the hidden library behind this waterfall.
Yeah, the idea is
beautiful.
And I love Sylvester McCoy's anger when he realizes that because in the Carteret library, they're using Wetworks. Sorry. That can mean something very different. And so there's information in the water. So the entire collective knowledge of the universe is in this water, but it turns out the water is life forms and they're being enslaved to this information system. And then there's a terrific twist that the Daleks actually want this information water to be like imbued inside a special Dalek mutant. So then they would have access to all of the information of the universe, and that would make them invincible because knowledge is power. And didn't that Dalek sound amazing?
It was great. Yeah, all of it. And the Dalek control room sounds, and that sort of, at the end of some of the dramatic scenes, that sort of kind of noise. Did you get that? No. Oh, come on, you know what I mean.
You love it when they turn that Dalek on. When they turn that Dalek on, and you was like, I get, hello. Yeah, this was way better than I remembered. Unfortunately, there is a massive con though.
What's that?
It's Sophie Aldrin, I'm afraid. Sophie
Hang
Aldrin
on. Okay.
Oh my
hang
word.
On. Right, okay. I know. I was going to just ask you, why was this so low the first time around? Was it just the dialogue? I think Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred are great in this. And I'll get to it when I get to my chronology. But yeah, they're playing the earlier, when they're not that New Adventures version of the Doctor and Ace from the Fearmonger. This could easily go into season 25 even, I think. The way that, and it all does depend on how Sophie Eldred plays Ace.
Well, yeah, but it is a fact, right, that, and it's almost universal, this fact, okay, that the second you ask any actor or actress to play like an evil version of them, or like I don't know, a robot, they suddenly talk in a monotonous voice, and oh god, it's just awful.
But actually, she is a Dalek duplicate. That's what it would be like. Have you seen The Chase? They don't make duplicates very well. It's supposed to be obvious, so we, the audience, know. But also,
don't make any excuses for her shitty acting.
Hang on, no. But when she first is found in the jungle, and they get her, and yeah, it's very subtle to begin with. Because we know, we sort of know that there is a duplicate. When the Doctor's like, "Are you sure there's?" You know, he knows.
All right, Ace.
Oh, I'm fine.
Perhaps we ought to get the medical computer to give you a quick checkup.
Honestly, Doctor, I'm all right. Don't fuss.
All right. What happened out there, Ace? What attacked you?
I'm not sure. Some animal. Something from the forest.
Are you sure?
Of course I'm sure.
An animal? Not a Dalek?
No.
Look, Ace, I think you should rest here just for a while. I'll look in on you later. Come on, Elgin. I still want to have a look outside.
I think she does it very well then. And then when it's a duplicate later on with the sort of treated voice a little bit, yeah, of course she plays it monotonous because that's what it is. And that's, I don't have any problem with that. It's not Sophia. She's acting. It's not her lack of acting. She is acting as a duplicate, as a bad duplicate.
Well, I think you're mad, but okay. It won't be the first and last time that we disagree on a point.
Okay, yeah, I would say
I would never really put Sophie Aldred and subtle in the same sentence.
But okay, the angsty stuff at the beginning, I think that's more of the script than her as well.
Yeah, she's only playing what she's got. Like, you know,
yeah.
Like you either are 100% behind that character and the actress, or you're not. And I'm just not. And I think she does struggle a bit on audio. He's great though. And you know what surprised me is I've always thought Sylvester McCoy was like the weakest Big Finish Doctor. I think there are moments coming in that regenerate, things like that, you know, wherever I lay my hat, Dorothy McShane.
No, but here he's very good, you know, library books. I don't remember having any library books.
When he gets angry. And it's very different from the Fearmonger, where he was like, he brought it really down and menacing. And in here, he just starts. But usually, when he's angry, it ain't great. I thought he was terrific when he was angry in this.
What have they been doing?
The librarians have been capturing the Kasharatans, wiping their minds clean and implanting data from their library.
My God.
It's one of the most clinically brutal acts I've ever had the misfortune to witness.
Oh, Doctor, you have no idea.
I have every idea. Now, shut up, Elgin.
But then Mike Tucker writing, he knows the Seventh Doctor and Ace very, very well. From some of his novels.
He wrote
Illegal Alien.
Matrix.
Storm Harvest.
Storm Harvest and Loving the Alien. Yeah. Which, like, you know, they're mixed books, but they know the characters. And obviously he worked with the pair of them on TV as well.
But this is the TV version of them. And you can tell that very well in the way that they act. I think that's great. And I really like Bev as well. I think she's really great.
She's really good, but the best is yet to come with that character. And I think it's not really when Mike Tucker writes her, but when she really thrives. And Louise Faulkner, who I think is a little wooden here, maybe. Like when she moves on to Bernice and she's playing like Bev in the Braxitel collection, she's really good.
And it's nice to have that character that then goes on to something else in this time. I like that idea. Oh, let's just talk. We've had this conversation. So you have Bev, okay, on the planet with Rappel, who gets killed, right? Then she's got, okay, and then you've got G84 or whatever it is, the computer, right? Yeah, which I feel really sort of sad.
Could you visualize all this? Could you visualize? I couldn't really visualize all this.
Yeah, okay, so this is what I'm trying to say. So you've got, in my mind, right, you've got Bev, who sort of looks a bit like, in my mind, she looks like Sam Jones from the Eighth Doctor books, which is weird. And then, so Rappel is in sort of, in my mind, is in like a grey sort of boiler suit, very Blake Seven-y, Terry Nation-y. And then you've got G84, which is like that little drone thing, which looks a bit like BB-8 type thing in my mind.
I have a BB-8. Yeah.
And then Tika is like Chewbacca, because all you can hear is... no, Tika, look out!
Oh my God.
That's the crew that lands on Koshrat in my mind, and it's amazing crew, and I want to see a spin-off with them.
Big Finish, he's ready for an audition.
With Prink and with Tika as well. You don't have they don't have lines. You don't need a whole other actor for that. You fill it out bit by bit just with these extra things. It's very clever, I think.
Is it Engin or Elgin?
Elgin.
I thought he was it's very broadly written and very over the top, but I thought the actor was really good.
Yeah, so this Bruce Montague, I don't know if he's done anything else, or I don't know his other...
I think he has done other Big Finish, actually. It's a name I recognise. But yeah, he was very good. Can I tell you my goods and bads for this one?
Yes, please.
Bad, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
So I put good, great setting, sound design, an unusual Dalek plan, that's quite novel, actually, because usually they try to take over or murder people. Sylvester McCoy again, I just put in brackets, surprising. And that's all I've got for good and bad. For bad, I've put cliches, duplicates. I know you're going to say that's a good thing. Functional dialogue, some confusing action, and some weird Dalek voices at the beginning.
Okay, well, for the good, I've got the sound design and the atmosphere that's created with the rain. I love it. I love a rain. I can listen to AMSR like rain in a forest sort of thing. I love that kind of thing. And the bad, I've put some of the dialogue and a little bit too much. I'm not always fond of, although I love a Terry Nation story, I'm not always fond of lots of Daleks talking to each other for a long time. There's a little bit of this, but not too much.
They're quite distinct, I think. Like it's either the Dalek Emperor, the Supreme Dalek, the drones, or like the Wetworks Dalek. So they've all got kind of different voices.
Yeah, it's not
later
so
Big
bad.
Finish stories, it's worse when there's loads of and they all just sound like Nicholas Briggs, and I get very confused.
Yeah, that's what I don't like. But even I think listening to this way back then as the first Dalek story I've heard, maybe that just took it out of it. But I really love this still. I love this.
Can I delight you and edify you with some delicious facts?
Oh, tell me the gossip. Here we go.
So, Tucker wanted to present a Dalek story like we haven't seen since John Pertwee's time. Perfect. He even says very old-fashioned and traditional. Hence the Daleks at the end of episode 1 and a character called Taran.
Yeah, everything that I want.
Basically, yeah, you just want Planet of the Daleks Part 2.
Yeah.
And so do I. With Daleks in a jungle, win.
Exactly.
They do it again a couple of times, don't they?
If we had a couple of Spyrodons in there, amazing.
Imagine the sound of that. Be amazing. Okay, and what else have we got here? Hang on. Okay, so they say the Nation Estate was wonderful. They had script approval and clearance on the stories, but because there are stories of the Nation Estate, like fighting for stronger fees or refusing altogether. But Gary Russell says they were actually very amenable. Let's see. Tucker was offered the Daleks on a plate, i.e. they didn't consider anyone else for writing this first Dalek story. It was given straight to him. I think because and he literally says he was staggered to be offered. So I think that's really nice. He got to fulfill his wish,
But that sounds really surprising now because Nicholas Briggs is so the Daleks and writing the Dalek. This is before that happened, though. There was a time when he wasn't the voice of the Daleks and he wasn't really anything to do with the Daleks very much. It just seems such a different world to what it is now.
I've got a fact here that might surprise you. Originally, the story featured Bernice.
Oh,
yeah. And so
I can see that's Bev.
it was supposed to be a bit more New Adventures-y, and actually they decided to go for early Doctor and Ace. So that's interesting. Oh, one of the original titles for this, like, because there were loads of other titles, was The Wet Works Experiment, which I thought sounded like a filthy porn. So obviously I didn't do that. Gary Russell played one of the Daleks initially, and they kept trying to treat his voice and all sorts because it just weren't working out. He listened to it back, and he's quoted as saying, "It's crap, replace me." So I will talk about Gary Russell being very critical of the scripts because they say this quite a lot. Actually, he will be critical of himself as well, and remove himself from a production. I think that's smart. And then just the fact about how they lost the sound modulation that they had in episodes 1 and 2, so they did a different one in episode 3 and 4. But do you know what? Like, this was perfectly listenable. I did enjoy this.
Good. I'm glad.
So if nothing else in this entire journey of the Big Finish library that we're going on, I enjoyed the Genocide Machine far more than I did back in the day.
Well, we should then now do our drawing of the episode, which
yes.
So, as we said before, Prink is referred to and talked to throughout the thing, but you never hear him speak. So he's the assistant in the library, and we were wondering, well, okay, what does he look like? How do you imagine him looking like? Because, I mean, Elgin is Elgin, isn't it? Elgin, I imagine, as sort of this older, your typical librarian character. But Prink could be anything and anyone.
Yeah.
So
I have a very specific idea of what Catalogue of Prink looks like, plus a few extras in my drawing as well.
Okay, so do I. So who's going to go first?
Well, I think I went first the first time. You went first the second time. I'll go first the third time.
Okay.
We'll go back and forth. Okay, so here is my cataloguer Prink. Dun, 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 dun,
Oh, okay. Wow.
So cataloguer Prink has got an enormous nose.
Right.
He's carrying some lovely books.
Oh, they're books, right? They look like.
And here is a waterfall, and he's on a bridge. Right. And these are Karsharatans. That's why they've all got faces. They're the life forms that are living inside the water.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Okay, that is.
And they're really happy. I don't know why McCoy's so unhappy, because they're really happy, the Karsharatans.
They're happy in their waterfalls, yeah. Okay, that is completely not what I imagined it to be like.
Can we compare and contrast then?
Okay, so my catalogue of Prink is he's quite short.
My God, what the fuck is that?
So I imagine him sort of like a little dwarf type person.
Terrifying. Why? He looks like the Grask.
Well, yeah, he's sort of like a small little person that they all sort of shout and look down on.
As ever, Mark, we are completely in simpatico.
That is the biggest contrast we've had so far. I mean, why the nose? Where does the nose come from?
Oh, I don't know. I just imagine him having this long nose. Well, there we go.
Right.
I mean, I think Roofley might have been our biggest contrast. I drew a warthog and you drew Maggie Stables in a leather bikini.
They're the most similar so far. Right.
Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Okay, well, moving on.
Let's go on to our next release then, Red Dawn. So this was released in May 2000, starring Peter Davison and Nicola Bryant. Also starring Robert Jezek, Georgia Moffat, and Stephen Fewell, my favourite. This was also directed by Gary Russell with music by Alistair Locke. He's composing like crazy at the moment, isn't he?
Oh, unfortunately, for once, you are wrong. This is the first score by Russell Stone.
Are you sure?
Excuse me, can you get that cover off the wall, please? Come on. And you tell me who's the music by, please, Mark. Come on.
Yeah, okay. Music by Russell Stone. Okay.
Thank you very much. Fine. And you know what? I think, actually, the music is the best thing about this story. I think it's a terrifically authentic 80s score, but quite modern as well. I bought those music from the New Adventures CDs. I listen to this score over and over. I can actually sing the score to this. You ready?
Okay.
Do 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 do. Anyway, yeah, I won't do it all, but I know the music to this really, really well. Whoa.
Okay, well, this one, Red Dawn, again, I went to the signing of this one, and it's really funny because this was May 2000, and you've got the red cover, and I remember it being a really, really hot day, and I think I got like heat stroke or something, and I felt really, really ill. I was boiling hot, burnt, and so I always associate this with heat and just a lot of sun and heat and everything. And it's quite funny that they're all like, oh, it's really cold. And they're very short episodes, this one. This is not like amazing classic. And I know I don't think you're that fond of it. But it's okay. It's okay, this one.
So back in the day, I kind of thought this was a bit average. Actually, I enjoyed this one a little bit more this time as well. And I think it had something to do with the fact, like, you know, our low point in the last one was Land of the Dead, you know, and this was way better than that.
Oh, absolutely. And we've got Perry now with the Fifth Doctor. I would say they're making some unusual choices, maybe depending on actor availability or who they've got, and maybe things got swapped around a lot. But it's interesting to go down that route of the Fifth Doctor and Perry. It's not your obvious choice.
I think that was the deliberate creative choice to bring these two together and see what they can do with it, because they certainly do a hell of a run with the Fifth Doctor and Perry, especially when RMM comes along.
I prefer this Perry to the Whispers of Terror Perry that we had with the Sixth Doctor. She does a lot more in this, and she's a lot more independent in this. I liked Nicola Bryant in this. She sounds exactly like she did on TV here. Amazing.
Like I have to say though, I do prefer like my ultimate Perry is the best ones she does with Colin Baker, like Ish, like The Reaping and episodes like that with our really, really strong stories for.
But that's your more independent Perry that's settled down a bit. And here I felt she was written quite strong.
Yeah. I think Justin Richards always gets his regulars right, no matter how good or bad the story is. And it's the same with the books as well. He wrote a Sixth Doctor and Perry novel called Grave Matter, which is a really, really good novel, like a proper old gothic horror, like a Tom Baker-ish style story. But they're really strong in it. But
I think Peter Davison is neither amazing or not great. He's just sort of average.
Yeah, really. I thought he sounded just a tiny bit bored in this one, actually. A quick fact, he specifically asked for his daughter, Georgia Moffat, to be involved in this. So he kind of is quoted as saying, if you ever get a chance for my daughter to be in one of these. So I think maybe that was a little sweetener. But then Gary Russell says she came in and just blew everyone away. Now, I don't think it's a stunning performance, if I'm honest. It's perfectly adequate. It's okay.
Well, no one's amazing in this. And I do include my favourite Stephen Jason Fuel in that as well. Just no one just goes above and stands out. Something like, you know, Marian Conspiracy, everybody is very memorable and you can quote them and you can really, you know, their part in the story. Here, everyone's just a bit.
I think there's one
going through it.
I think there's one like sterling performance in this, and that's Matthew Brenner as the Ice Lord. I think he sounds just like Alan Benyon from Monster of Peladon and Seeds of Death. He's really good.
He is good. I was going to say, actually, though, the Ice Warrior sound is a less hissy than they are on TV.
Yeah, but you have a bit of a problem, don't you, with the hissy voices?
But then I think later on when they do Ice Warriors, they are a bit more hissy. Here, it didn't conjure up the Ice Lord or whoever, Ice Warrior, in my mind so much, because it sort of just sounds like someone just talking a little bit slower than usual.
He kind of talks like that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, Alexia, whatever his name is. You acted with honor. I go off to the dawn of Mars. Yeah.
And the story, and it was very good. And the storyline is okay. Well, the Doctor and Perry are on Mars. You've got this NASA thing happening, and it's okay. There's a lot of capture back and forth. Perry's off on the ship on her own.
I put as one of my bad things is there's just not enough incident. There's not enough things happening in this.
Yeah. And they're very short episodes. One's like 18 minutes. I think the longest is like 24.
Oh, I don't object to that. I do not object to that at all.
No, I don't. I think it shows that there's not enough story.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah. So then maybe they've condensed it down. But Justin Richards says that he started off writing this quite complicated, and then he kept simplifying it. And he's very honest in this. He said he maybe simplified it too much, so there just wasn't enough going on. And instead, you have all these talk about like Ice Warrior history and mythology, and they were reminding me of the Klingons from Star Trek. They're going on about honor all the time,
That's what the Ice Warriors ended up turning into, very Klingon-esque. And later on, that happens again in the Key 2 time ones with the Ice Warriors. That they go very Klingon-y there, I think. I'm not really interested in any of that stuff.
And I have to say, I put as another one of my bad things, just the characters were a bit dull. I just found all the characters a bit dull in this. In contrast with something like the Marian Conspiracy, where they were all vivid and they really came alive. They were kind of good and they served the plot and things like that. But I don't know. And the twist about Georgia Moffat's character, like having ice,
having alien blood or DNA
put into her or something. I was like, what is this?
But everything, it's sort of the whole thing just revolves really around that twist, and it's not that well. It is just one twist, and it feels like the whole thing has been going, and then you get to there and you're like, oh, okay. You
know what was good though? There was one thing I really liked, and I really liked all the cliffhangers in this. I thought they were really strong.
Oh no, no, 3 to 4 is the worst.
What's that
where Paul Webster's about to shoot the Doctor and he's like, right, now it's time. And then you go to the beginning of episode 4 and he's like, right, now it's time. I'm going to kill you now. End of episode. And then at the beginning of episode 4, he's like, right, I'm going to kill you in a minute. Anything else to say? Oh, actually, no, I'm not going to kill you. No, let's carry on. That was the worst cliffhanger.
In contrast, then, episode 1, where the Ice Warriors come to life and start smashing out of the... I really love that.
Perry, can you hear me? I think you should stay over on the MEM for the moment.
Why, Doctor? What is it? What's going on over there?
Just stay put. Everyone, stay where you are. Oh, no. Good grief. Of course, we're on Mars. I should have realized.
Doctor, what are they?
Ice Warriors.
Okay, yeah, it's a good moment, but... Okay, I suppose we know as the audience that it is the Ice Warriors. I felt like it took the Doctor way too long.
He's on
Mars. There's ice. There's people in the ice. He still doesn't realise until later on. And he does. Oh, I should have realised. That's like his catchphrase. I swear Big Finish always say, oh, I should have realised. But yeah, it takes him so long to realise that.
I just think I love the music in this because the end of episode 2, the music's really good again.
What are you going to do?
They are approaching escape velocity. Target acquired. Weapon systems locking on.
Weapon systems? I thought this was a tomb.
It's a warrior's tomb.
And our warriors defend themselves.
This isn't the way, believe me. I can't let you...
I warn you, Doctor, do not interfere.
Zal, listen to me, please. You have to stop this.
Target locked.
No!
Fire!
Okay, maybe you like the music rather than the actual scripted
I think I've listened to the score more than the story.
And the score's great, but there's still lack of atmosphere in this because you could have had something really creepy. You've got... And actually, I think things are sped up. They're on the planet and then suddenly they're up in space, or then Perry's up in space. And then they're back down on the planet because that guy at the beginning goes out to see the anomaly, and then he's back again, then he's back out again. And there could have been some really creepy atmosphere of really exploring, and the danger of Perry being trapped up in the spaceship around Mars as well could have been done really well, but it just wasn't. it was just taken. Everything was just taken for granted like that. They could have just all been sitting around on Earth around a kitchen. It didn't matter if they were in space or in a house. There was no. It didn't make any difference.
In the Eighth Doctor range, they do Demos and Resurrection of Mars. So that's an Ice Warrior story set on Mars, and it's excellent. Like especially the second half. So it just goes to show they can do this, but it just needs a bit more substance. I've got some facts if you'd like to hear them.
Go ahead.
Justin Richards says he decided to play it safe and have Georgia Moffat play a 15-year-old because she did sound young. And just how she came in and impressed everybody. This was Russell Stone's audition piece. And he said, and I think this is astonishing, that because he didn't get the dialogue edit till really late. So that's what happens is you get the dialogue that they've recorded, then you do the music to it. That he wrote the music without the dialogue edit, and then it suits it so perfectly. I can only think that he was saying the script out loud as he was, doing his music. And Justin Richards says he was going to call two of the Ice Warriors Sonny and Coldenez, who played the Ice Warriors. But Gary Russell vetoed that idea and said no way. But Gary Russell says, because this was the first Big Finish whose reputation bombed. So this came out and fan reaction to it was really bad. And Gary Russell turns around and says, I don't think Red Dawn is anywhere near as bad as what people say it is. However, that he, as a producer of Big Finish and a director, he does not always make Doctor Who for himself. So he basically says he's produced stuff that he wouldn't enjoy listening to because he likes it to be diverse. And this is his cup of tea and not everyone else's. I didn't think this was terrible, actually. I thought this skipped along and it was perfectly adequate, if never exceptional.
No, it's okay. It's all right. It's way better than Land of the Dead. This, as I say, this is the one I have to listen to when I'm sunbathing. I don't know why. I just have to listen to this one in hot weather. If I listen to it in hot weather, brilliant, amazing. I don't know why. But I don't know, the Ice Warriors don't always interest me. I think it is that honour and all of that talk and everything with the Ice Warriors. That's what gets it down. I like that they were still good in this and cooperative.
That's not. I always like it when the Ice Warriors are good. I thought it was quite interesting that they were trying to create these Earth Warriors. Like that's what Stephen Fuel's villain is up to, isn't it? They're trying to like inject like Ice Warrior DNA into people and create but I don't think it really went anywhere. It was an interesting idea, but it didn't really go anywhere. So
no,
this is okay. This is our okay one of this batch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then bringing back old monsters as well. This is when they start to come in. We've had the Daleks, now the Ice Warriors. It's all starting to.
How long is it before we had the Cybermen then? Is it sort of Orion?
I think, it's sort of Orion. Yeah, got a little while.
God, it's fucking terrible, that story. What a terrible.
Anyway, we're not there yet. Okay, so it's on to the next release. We did have a little bit of a break in between that last one and this one because. I'm sorry, I needed a drink. Nothing gets between me and my Horlicks, I have to say. So we had to have a little break. So here we are back again.
Well, you must have had a fucking long Horlicks because I've had a haircut since then.
Speaking of Horlicks, the next release is The Spectre of Lanyon Moor. So
da 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 da, knit one and one. I'm singing that because that's what I'm going to sing every time it's an evening story.
Okay, well, here we go. So, The Spectre of Lanyon Moor was released in June 2000, starring Colin Baker and Maggie Stables, guest starring Nicholas Courtney, Susan Jameson, and James Bolam. Good cast. Written by Nicholas Pegg, directed by Nicholas Pegg, with music by Alistair Locke, your favourite.
We've both been pegged by Nick in this, We are pegged right up with this release. I don't know. Don't get that face. He might be really pretty. You never know.
So this one is, again, an amazing. This is a classic for me.
I don't think this is quite as good as the Marian Conspiracy.
I think it's better.
Ooh. Ooh, controversial. Why is this better than the Marian Conspiracy?
This has got everything. This is more my. I mean, I love Marian's Conspiracy, and it's the historical. That's pure historical. But this has all the extra Doctor Who elements. It's really interesting for a Sixth Doctor story. They're doing the sort of country village, sort of spooky, bit Terror of the Zygons. This reminds me of. And you've got the Brigadier in there. And it's something that the Sixth Doctor never had on TV. And it just hits all of those sort of classic points that a traditional Doctor Who story has.
I mean,
and also
the biggest selling point for this was 6C and the Brigadier. Like, that is what, if everyone's going to go to this release, that's the reason people are going to go for this release.
And I'm glad they ticked that box early on, because the only other time that
Dimensions in Time, our favourite.
The Sixth Doctor and the Brigadier met was Dimensions in Time. And you know what?
Go on.
We should show a clip of that moment from our Dimensions in Time.
I'm finding it difficult to keep up with you these days, Doctor.
Some other time, eh, Brigadier? Alas, I must find my young friend.
Good luck to you, old man.
Some other time, Brigadier. I must find.
Alas, I must find my young friend. That was the only time that they've met before. So I'm so glad they managed to do this. And again, it's the next Evelyn story as well. So she's brilliant in this too. And it also has. I went to the signing of this one as well. So it's got that nostalgia for me, because I've got in here signed by. So we've got. I've got Maggie Stables.
You mean Maggie Stables? Oh,
I met Maggie Stables there. I think I've got. Who's that? Oh, Helen Goldwyn.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki Hunter, my favourite character from this. Nicholas Pegg, Barnaby Edwards, and Toby Longworth. So
Nicholas Pegg, was he hot?
Nicholas Pegg. He was nice. I'm not going to say.
Oh my god, that is damning. Was he hot? No, he was nice.
Well, I don't remember. I was like 13 or 14 when I met him. I wasn't like, oh my god, you're hot.
Is that bony, wiry mark I keep talking about?
Yeah, I'm not going to. Anyway, let's just. What are we even talking about? And then I got Colin Baker to sign the front very recently, and I said to him, I was like, classic, and he was like, yeah.
Well, I have a thrilling fact about this story. This was not supposed to be a Sixth Doctor story at all.
Oh.
This was... Oh, you don't know this?
No.
Well, hold on to your hat then, because you're in for a bumpy ride. This was part of a trio of stories that were presented to Tom Baker. This started out as a Tom Baker and Sarah Jane script, and was doctored to be the Sixth Doctor and Evelyn. So what happened was Gary Russell said he wanted to give Tom Baker 3 different types of script. So a very traditional script, that's this, atmospheric, gothic, very a quirky script. The Holy Terror was given to Tom Baker to read, and like a modern script, and that was the Stones of Venice. Now I question whether the Stones of Venice is modern. Really, it feels very old-fashioned. But anyway. They're all really good scripts, and apparently Tom Baker read them and then publicly embarrassed Big Finish at a convention. This is all in that book. He was like, they gave me these scripts and they were bloody awful. Like, absolutely taught. And I think Gary Russell might have been out. I don't think Gary Russell ever quite got over how abusive Tom Baker was about Big Finish when he gave these scripts. They never tried again. Obviously, Briggs succeeded way down the line, didn't he? Briggs and David Richardson succeeded in bringing Tom Baker on board, and kudos to them for doing that. But then when it was done for the Sixth Doctor and Evelyn, obviously this is Evelyn's second adventure. I think Pegg was given like the synopsis about Evelyn again, but given absolute free rein to write her. And do you know what? I'm so pleased this is a Sixth Doctor story, because he didn't have stories like this on TV. A nice, simple, trad, kind of gothic horror with some kind of comedy moments in there as well. Some big characters. Like, this feels like the quintessence of Doctor Who.
Just up ahead. Listen. What was that? I don't know, but I don't like the sound of it very much.
Oh, come on, let's get going. It's just this fog making us imagine things. Nothing's going to get between me and my Horlicks.
No, wait. Don't. It's getting nearer.
Oh, it's just a bird or something.
Nikki, I think we should go back the way we came.
I think you could be right.
Just turn round slowly and...
Run!
If you were going to sum up Doctor Who, moorland, victims who are desperate for Horlicks, maybe a little bit of globetrotting off in Athens, scary monsters, manor houses, like it's just totally Doctor Who. And I just think he just does a brilliant job, brilliant job, because these traditional adventures, they can be, like we said about Phantasmagoria, it was very atmospheric, but very insubstantial. I think this had a bit of substance to it. There was like a lot of detail in the writing about fugus and manor houses and cults, and it felt like it had a bit of something to it, you know?
There's a lot going on. There's plenty going on for a 4-part. Great cast. It was very easy to listen to. You can just follow this one through. This is a really, really good one. If you're maybe starting out listening to Big Finish, I would say this is a really good one to try. And the atmosphere is there as well. When I first listened to this, there's some genuinely scary moments.
Excuse me, I think you'll find that's down to the music courtesy of Alistair Locke.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. But a standout moment for me is when Evelyn was doing the research on like the history of the place, and she says these things have happened and these sort of spooky things, and I don't know. There's something about it.
Mortal dread was my only companion. For that place, the Fogey Hole has long been called a home of witches and devils. The night was passed in watchful prayer, and in the morning I gave thanks to leave that ungodly pit with my life. I reached the place known as Pengriffin's Nap, whereat I made a strange and wonderful discovery that brought me in mind of how near I had come to my doom. The persecutors of the king's army had made their camp beside that ancient hillock, and around the embers of their campfire I found their pitiful remains. Torn asunder they were to the last man. Whether by the onslaught of some fearful beast or by divine retribution against their wickedness, I cannot tell.
I like the bit where after your Horlicks woman has died and she's recounting the story of what happened, and the music is so scary in that scene. It's like
and the bit where the doctor's like, is it up the Airy Mountain, down the Rushy Glen? That bit where he quotes that. It's just though that you just got that atmosphere, but you've got the adventure as well. And Evelyn does a lot in this. She's really settled in it, just continuing from the Marian Conspiracy.
This has 2 fantastic twists in it as well. Twist number 1 is you think Mrs. Moynihan is just going to be like this random character, like the housekeeper, just the sort of person that turns up in a Doctor Who adventure, a bit over the top. I'm going to go make the coffee, blah, blah, blah. And then she's off on holiday, and you think it's just, okay, that's that character done. She's done. And then it's like, oh, we're going to triangulate the signal to all of this. It's in Athens. And then we cut to her in Athens in a wonderful sequence where bless the poor woman who plays. Can you tell me, please, in your sleep?
You know what? I think it's Helen Golden. I think she plays Nikki and the person. Hold on.
I'll do the impression, please.
Which one? Hang on. Hold on. Where is she?
Ladies and gentlemen. She's amazing.
Yes, it's Helen Goldwyn as well. Yeah.
Oh God, she's in great. Madam, I will be back in a little minute.
Madam, cannot be serious.
I have to say, look, I've written in my notes just one line over here. Mrs. Moynihan rocks. I thought she was incredibly good.
Played by Susan Jameson, who also plays Mrs. Wibsey in the Hornet's Nest Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
Completely different character there.
Buster! She's great. Oh, you men! I'll go make the tea. She is that sort of mad. She would not be out of place in a Graham Williams story, would she? That sort of over the top female character.
No.
And like James Bolam is really good, I think, but he was okay. I don't think he was absolutely like stunning in the role, but he does everything that's needed of him. I like the bit where he's like, Sankrida, you have come for me.
Oh, well, because at the beginning, I always think he says Stefan, but it's not Stefan, is it?
Oh, actually,
Who is it?
Hang on. The voice of Sankrida is a little bit comic, isn't it?
Well, they're doing a different voice. I don't mind it. You get used to it. I'm all right with that.
What was the one I was complaining about before with a really annoying voice? I can't remember what story it was.
How many?
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Not the Emperor.
I've got a great Sankrida.
The Sirens of Time. Oh!
I've got a great Sankrida quote. Do you want to hear it?
Okay.
This will give you an example of how good the dialogue is in the story. He goes, what is it? I do not speak of deals. I only speak of debts, and yours to mine are long overdue. It's great.
Do you think this is a good story for the Brigadier?
I do. It's unusual, isn't it? He's kind of undercover in this one as well. And he just has such good chemistry with both the Sixth Doctor and Evelyn. I think he fancies Evelyn a little bit. You know, he's always going, I'm going to look after Evelyn. Oh, yeah. He's got an eye for the ladies, Brig.
By this point, it's interesting because we had such that gap between Mordred Undead and Battlefield. You know, this bridges that gap of that type of Brigadier. He's that retired character, but not the one we see in Battlefield. It's that in-between version, and I think it fits perfectly.
He's incredibly relaxed in this. I'll say that. Like he's not really pushing it. He's very, very sort of chill, given, you know, there's a tiny little impish monster rampaging around, ripping people apart.
And I like how Evelyn goes off and has a lot of story on her own. And she's got this thing where, a bit like in the Marian Conspiracy, where she was hanging around with the younger guys, she's got the younger guy here that she hangs around with, sort of like the student. She always finds that sort of student character, which is nice.
He was so obviously a bad one, wasn't he?
I didn't think so.
Come on. When he was taking her back in, he was like, oh no, we should probably go. I was like, yeah, he's evil.
But in that scene where she's going to the house and she's looking through, in my mind, I just picture when Sarah Jane's in the place in the Terror of the Zygons. It's exactly that in my mind.
She smashes the glass window to get out. And she's kind of resourceful, you know. And she has the ability of doing a soliloquy. So she talks to herself all the time when she's on her own. But Maggie Stables, she's just so fabulous. I'd be happy for her to do a whole story. Oh, wait, that's called A Town Called Fortune. We'll get to that in the Companion Chronicles.
Yeah, I'm perfectly happy. It just goes by, and this was the first Evelyn story that I listened to, actually. So this was my first experience of it, and I just loved her straight away. And she seems so settled already, and nothing still like phases her. And she's right in the adventure, and she, even when she gets attacked and everything, oh, she's great. And the relationship with her and the Sixth Doctor as well is just perfect already.
Right. There's a wonderful moment, right, where he still proves to be a bit spiky, where he goes after, what's the director's name? You know what I mean?
What was his name? Nicholas Pegg. Toby Longworth. No. What? Who?
You know, the guy who's running the dig.
Oh, I thought you meant the director of this. Oh, the guy's running, not Archibald Flint.
No. Oh, my word.
Philip Ludgate.
No. Keep going.
Professor Morgan.
Thank you. When he has a right old go at Professor Morgan, he's really vicious with him, and he's like, you know, you're a bloody idiot. And then he goes off, and then he comes back and apologizes, and that shows how he's kind of, and it's Evelyn that says to him, you know, be nice to him. We need him. She's softening his rough edges, you know. It's really nice. It's really nice. The second twist at the end that's amazing, I really liked, was that this whole massive revenge plot against his brother it's basically like Kane in Dragonfire, completely irrelevant because he shot his brother right in the first scene.
It's really, really good. This is really up there, and I like we've said before with some of these, this just doesn't compare. Well, like newer Big Finish releases just don't compare to the quality of these.
One of the things that surprised me in that that last episode, was it was really like full of murder. There was a lot of death in that last episode. They literally all the characters are wiped out, I think, apart from the Sixth Doctor, Evelyn, and the Brigadier. But
this is one I would just love to see on TV. If only there was something like this on TV.
But it's one of those ones where I think, because it's kind of got that domestic feel to it that you can visualize it. So, moorlands, caves, Athens, like a museum.
I was surprised. I was surprised when they went off to Athens when I thought you were going to have your traditional in your village sort of demon style story. When they were like Athens, I was like, wow, this has gone international all of a sudden. This is amazing.
Originally, right, the Greek tour guide, ladies and gentlemen, she was supposed to die as well. And Gary Russell said, will you just calm down from killing off all these characters, please? We need someone to live. So she just gets knocked out in the end. And isn't it really, I think it's horrible how like Mrs. Moynihan is like this pathetic woman who's basically, people have trodden on her all her life. So now she wants the power of San Crito to get her revenge. And the only people she loves in the whole world are her 2 dogs. And it's the dogs that he uses to kill her. I mean, it's just, that is vile. It's horrible.
Buster!
Great. Sankrina! She's great. Please, if you think this is over the top, we've got Winter for the Adept next.
Oh, yeah. But a really great cliffhanger, my favourite cliffhanger as well, is Nikki on her marathon run, and she.
I've got one objection to this. One objection.
What?
Is that there are long dialogue scenes in this at times that spread to like sort of 4 or 5 minutes. And I don't really object to it because the dialogue's really, really good. I wonder if like a certain portion of the audience wouldn't have the patience for this. There are moments where the pace slows right down.
I like the pace. I like that guy. It's not boring dialogue. I don't know. I didn't notice that myself.
You're an old fugu. That's why.
A fugu.
You are
a fugu. Yes, just 4 miles that away.
Have you been a fool?
No, I didn't notice it was like never. The pace was absolutely fine for me, but it is that pace. It's like, again, like in the Demons where they're all in the pub and they're having a chat about, all the history and everything. They do that here as well, but that's fine. That's great with horns. Yeah, with horns. But this is, I really, really love this one. It's just, it takes a lot to beat this.
Well, I said for the good, I said the atmospheric domestic settings, 6 Evelyn and Brig is everything you want it to be. Intelligent, detailed dialogue, scary moments, and a great last episode. I don't think you can really ask for much more.
No, I can't. I haven't got a bad for this at all. I can't think what is the negative in this story. I can't think of anything.
Philip is obviously bad. That's all He was too nice. When people are like Archibald Flint is really nice in episode 1, so he had to be bad. And Philip's, whereas Professor Morgan's a right arsehole throughout, so obviously he's good.
Well,
But no, it's terrific. It's really, really terrific, and it feels like Big Finish are getting in their groove with the Doctor Who releases now. It feels like, and certainly with the 6th Doctor, it feels like that's kind of clicked. And I still don't think it's clicked. Like, I think it gets better, the 6th Doctor and even stories on the whole. But the best. They do. This is peak for me at the moment. This is peak. Oh, but what about? Please, allow me one more chance before you cut me down like a dog. Oh, you're mad. Honestly, what is wrong with you?
Anyway, let's go on to the next one then. If we're done with this.
No. Okay.
Okay.
Put it up on the screen. Disclaimer. This is Mark's favourite story ever. All right.
Well, okay, let's talk about it. So we have got Winter for the Adept, released in July 2000, starring Peter Davison and Sarah Sutton. Guest starring Sally Faulkner, India Fisher, and Peter Jurassic. Is that how you say his name? Jurassic,
yeah, like Jurassic Park.
This was directed by Gary Russell, written by Andrew Cartmel.
Oh my god! Okay, we need to talk about
with music by Russell Stone.
We need to talk about this being written by Andrew Cartmel.
Oh well, yeah, very surprising. So, because he is obviously the script editor for the Sylvester McCoy era. So. And he wrote some new adventures, did he?
For the 7th Doctor, Ace.
For the 7th Doctor. So I don't think he'd written for any other Doctor and companion. And I met him, actually, and I didn't really want to. The thing is with Andrew Cartmel is, all the times I've spoken to him, I've just sort of haven't really wanted to. It's just sort of happened. So the first time was when I bought his book, when I didn't really want to.
Oh my God, ain't that book called Through Time, is it?
No, it's his time about Script Doctor, the one about his time as script editor.
Oh,
and I was at a convention, I was walking past and he's there with his thing and he was like, hi. I was like, oh, hi. He's like, what's your name? I'm like, Mark. And before I knew it, he'd written to Mark in the book, so I had to buy the bloody thing, didn't I? I didn't actually want to. I was just walking past.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
Two celebrities need to get on this. If you are a Doctor Who celebrity and you want money, just walk around and say, what's your name? Oh, it's written in now. You got to buy.
The thing, I would say that about Andrew Conway. He is very good. He's a very good hustler, that man. He is, because then again, at a different convention, he was there at a table and I was like, oh, I've learned my lesson this time. Don't say your name when you walk past. Anyway, and he was like, oh, and he had all these other books that he does as well. And he was like, do you want, going to buy this? Going to buy this? And I was like, oh, not really. Anyway, he persuaded me somehow to buy a book. So I bought it and he signed it. Shut up. And then he was like, oh, sit down next to me. Let's have a chat. And I went round the table and sat in the corner, right? And I was like, I don't really want to be here. And then he sort of ignored me. And I was sitting next to him behind his table. And I thought, I need to get out of here. I don't want to be here. I've got other things to do.
So much. Like, what do I... So you. All right. Mark has a fabulous podcast, Too Much Who, where he tells so many stories where he just ends up doing things because he doesn't not have the ability to say no to people. I'll just say, Andrew Cartmel, I'm sure you're thoroughly charming, but I've got better things to do with my time.
But luckily, I said I'd read his book, and I was like, Pip and Jane, you had a bit of a trouble with them, didn't you? And he was like, oh, yeah, you have read my book. I was like, yeah. And then I thought, the light bulb moment, and I said to him, you've written Winter for the Adept, didn't you? I love that story. That's my favourite story. And he was like, yes, I did. And then I asked him, I said, was it different writing for the Fifth Doctor and Nyssa, as a different Doctor companion? And he just went, no, not really. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, I need to get out of here.
What are you talking about? Did you ever read that book he wrote called Through Time, where he basically criticises every single other era of Doctor Who and then goes on to say that every story in the McCoy era is a stone cold classic? I threw that book on the wall. It irritated me so much. And there's only a few books I've thrown at the wall. You ever read that one by Mark Campbell where he does capture? Oh, no, I need to shut up. I'm just shut up.
Anyway. So but I think in the writing of this one, you can tell that Andrew Cartmel maybe hasn't written audio scripts before, because there is a lot of description in this one.
Do it.
And also, can I say, if somebody does ask me what is your favourite Big Finish story, I usually do say Winter for the Adept.
It's such a rando story to have as your favourite. Now, don't get me wrong. I listened to episode 1, right, with a new head on my shoulders because I know how much you love it. I adore you. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go into this with a new head on my shoulders. And by me, episode 1 is amazingly good.
Again, it's very easy to listen to. You get straight into the story. And I love the characters in this. It's your traditional sort of everybody sort of almost based under Siege style in a way with some extra bits and pieces. A bit like the TV stories that are my favourites. Again, this was one that I picked up at the time and I went to the signing for, so maybe that's why. And I remember coming home and listening to it. I had a little glass of Baby Sham because I was like 13 or 14 or whatever. And I listened to this, and I listened to this in the dark all the way through. And the cliffhanger where the Doctor's like, I think we should have a seance, freaked me out so much I had to have a break and put the light on. And maybe there's that nostalgia for me as well. Listening to it again for this, being a bit more critical, I can see why it's not the greatest in some people's eyes, especially episode 4.
Got that nostalgia for it. So like that, don't discard your nostalgia. That's lovely.
No, but it's got great atmosphere still. Maybe just the script has a few, especially like the wrap up of it. But the atmosphere, like episode 1, is really good and it builds up a great picture and a great atmosphere.
I mean, I'll say something to you, right? Episode 4 is pants. Okay, in terms of story and twists, it's really pants.
I can agree with that. I can.
Yeah, so it's all of like the sort of the atmosphere and the scares and the horror and all of that, and goes for science fiction, and it's just really terrible. But episodes 1 to 3, I thought this time I really thought were superb. I think you've got some fabulous characters in this. Not so much Peter Jurassic's one, but what's her name? The woman who runs
Sally Faulkner as Miss Tremaine.
Miss Tremaine is every single time she turns up, the story goes from there to there. She's so good.
Hygiene is key. The avoidance of germs. We are helped in this by the clinical cleanliness of the fresh, cold alpine air and the cool purity of the good book. We must open our souls to the word, just as we open our windows to the chill, purifying air of the alpine valleys.
Well, hang on, what? And she
suffer a which to live.
Love, marriage. I cannot believe what I am hearing. I opened all the windows and they've shut themselves again.
The blade is merely an instrument of the Lord. She's so good.
She's
you know what?
brilliant.
She wouldn't be out of place in a Graham Williams story either.
Played by
Sally
Faulkner, who was Isabel in The Invasion, of all things.
Isn't it? Like, it's so different. The accent,
yeah, I didn't realise that.
Okay, so this story is bookended with what's the character's name?
Alison
reading her diary. Is that Sally Faulkner? Because it sounds like her.
I was just about to look because it starts off saying trapped in the Ghost Academy or everything like that.
I know, but it's an English accent. I listened really carefully. It's an English accent, but I think it's Sally Faulkner doing her normal accent because she's not Scottish.
Yeah, it doesn't say, but I think it is. And that did confuse me a little bit because you do think it's Miss Tremaine saying that, but obviously she doesn't survive. So yeah, it's Alison. It's Sally Faulkner playing older Alison, and then Sally Faulkner plays Miss Tremaine. But this is also very significant as it's India Fisher's first role for Big Finish.
Well, I mean, I will say she is madly over the top as well, but deliriously enjoyable because of it.
I love it. This is partly why I love this story straight away.
There was a bit where she said something right, and I'm just like, oh my God, that is me. That is literally me, where she goes, oh, well, she goes, I've learned a long time ago that if you do something badly, no one ever asks you to do it again. I'm like, go on, India Fisher. I'll do that my whole life. But
and the French mistress as well in this is a great character. No, she's great. She's brilliant. Oh, my little pigeons.
Maybe the accent's so terrible because she turns out to be a bloody alien. Like, hello, I am the French mistress. Oh,
it's mon papa, mon papa, papa, papa.
Oh God! so we are surrounded by kind of over the top characters that are really, really fun. And I think a lot of the horror stuff, the seance, the knife, there's a sequence where the helicopter gets thrown into the wind and smashed against the mountain, and orally the sequence is it just I felt as if I was on a mountain watching a helicopter. I mean, where did they get these sound effects from, honestly?
It's a bit unusual where we first meet with the Doctor and Nyssa in this as well. They do something different because Nyssa is abandoned on these Alps here, and she does a bit on her own, doesn't she? Oh, it's all your fault, Doctor. It's a bit un-Nyssa-like.
Well, I thought in the first episode she was terrific, and that was one of the reasons why I think the first episode is the best, is because she's solo, and it's given Nyssa the opportunity she never really got on TV. And Sarah Sutton's really good and really likable. Then, when the Doctor shows up, she becomes this prickly old sourpuss, and she's really miserable for the rest of the story. Like, oh, the seance, oh, God, we're doing this. I'm like, listen, will you cheer up a bit? Like, geez, you were never like this on the TV.
I didn't notice that so much, but it's interesting that the Doctor only turns up really towards the end of episode 1. I like that.
This was the story, in my little factettes, that where Gary Russell says that I love Gary Russell. I'm doing a complete 180 on him because he gives me so many lovely facts for this Finish Big. Where he turns around and says that him and Peter Davison was not sure about Big Finish. Remember, there's got a microphone strapped to an uplighter, and it all looks very professional. And he's used to doing professional audio work, the Castrovalva audio book and big BBC studios and things, they've got a little dried up lettuce leaf for lunch and things for Big Finish at the moment. The big lunches come later and everyone raves about them. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So Peter Davison, basically, this is where he came on board properly. They'd gone off to a convention together, him and Gary Russell, and they started to banter and be sarky with each other and have a lot of fun. And you can hear it in his performance in this. He is having fun with this script. And I think that's really, really delightful because I don't think Peter Davison had a lot of fun on TV. I always felt like he kind of he did the role because he said he'd do the role, and he just got through the 3 years and then he was done. And I know you don't agree with that and he's a good enough actor, he can kind of ride over it and still deliver anyway. But I don't really think he was enjoying himself. I really felt he was enjoying himself in this story, and it's kind of infectious.
It's a complete step up from Land of the Dead, 100%. I mean, yeah, the way that the characters come across, the way where they're performed, yeah, you can tell in this one, this is so much more relaxed. Absolutely.
I have to say as well, do not chastise me for this, all right? I know I bang on about the music. It's very important. The score by Russell Stone, especially, ready? Can you play that bit in there, please?
Yeah.
If I can hear how accurate I am.
I have to agree that the music in this is standout. It's one of the only ones where I really do remember the music.
Yeah, this is like you say, the best Big Finish experience is headphones in the dark. This is perfect for that. This and stories like Chimes of Midnight and the scary ones are perfect for that.
So, what do you think of the Spillagers?
No, here's
Another disturbing image for you.
Just as I suspected.
Doctor? Oh my God! What is that?
It was your French mistress. Now, however, it's reverting to its true form as a spillager.
It's vile! What do we do?
Run, I suggest, to the kitchen. We must find Peril and the lieutenant.
Doctor, come back. Don't you want a closer inspection? And Alison, your homework is late. I shall have to mark you down.
Yeah, shit. And, like, when it becomes... No, wait. First of all, what about that bloody ghost that turns up in episode 4? Hardy.
I don't know. I like that. I thought it was quite a good twist. That's the problem with episode 4. You've got Peril and Alison and this sort of telepathic thing, which sets off this poltergeist thing and the aliens, and it's all very bit complicated and all connected, and this does this and this and this, and that's why it's a poltergeist and all this stuff. But yeah, he's just this extra person that turns up at the end. It's not as a scary threat as we thought. I mean, the Spillagers aren't scary, and he's a friendly ghost. So it sort of all just deflates by part 4.
It was like, well, why were we scared enough? The scariest bloody thing in this is Miss Tremaine and her bloody bread knife.
Of that early episode where she's going round shutting all the windows and opening the windows and shouting about stuff. You're like, oh, what's going on here? Yeah.
We do need to very quickly, like, whilst we're talking about a few issues with this, we do need to talk about something that crops up a lot with inexperienced audio writers. And I'm surprised at Andrew Cartmel because he's a script editor, right? So dialogue is different. But dialogue is his thing. So I really think he should have the ability to. But there's a lot of this, like, oh, the tent poles, they're rising into the air. Oh, they're coming towards us. It's like there is a way of delivering that without it sounding quite so like you are giving an instruction to the person.
But I know, yeah, but how do you do poltergeist and haunting when you can't see stuff? Like, that's why I open the windows and they've shut themselves again. And this is rising up. This is happening here. How do you do it?
I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you.
All right.
Why did you roll your eyes at me? The bit where the window smashes, and then all the shards rise up in it. And the dialogue, it's like, oh my God, the window smashed. Oh my God, the shards are riding in the air. I can see them glistening in the light. Oh my God, they're coming towards us. Like, literally, all you needed to do was go, get down, whoosh, do a window smashing sounds, and just literally have them running, like running sound effects, and have the shards of glass come past the listener's ears. Like, you don't need to describe every single step of what is going on. And there is a bit of that in this. Because she goes at one point, my God, it's like the helicopter was grabbed by a giant hand in the wind and smashed against the house.
Sure, I know, and yeah, it's only when it's pointed out. Like I didn't notice it very much on the first listen because I think you get into the story so much it doesn't really matter. That's a little bit nitpicky. I think
so though. I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think so because I think the more adept audio writer, someone like Robert Shearman, if you watch, he barely describes what's going on. He trusts to the sound design and he gives you enough information in his dialogue, like in exchanges between two people, but he never instructs the audience. It is a skill, I think, and some people have it and others don't.
We had that a little bit in Land of the Dead as well. This is early on, isn't it? So, stuff like Spectre of Lanyon Moor, where you say it's very domestic and they don't need to do that. But when you go into that haunting or that other sort of realm with, the last time in Land of the Dead with those creatures, they haven't learned that yet in the production of things.
So the bit where Evelyn is escaping and she wraps something around, smashes the window, and she says, and she apologizes to the person who designed it, but she never goes, well, I'm going to smash this window.
No.
And then later on, Archibald Flint goes to her, I didn't think you had it in you to smash a priceless window. And I'm thinking, if that's how you do it, that's like reasonable, crafted dialogue, Anyway, it's a small point,
yeah.
But on audio, what do you have? You've got the sound design, the music, and the dialogue. Like, those are the three things. Those are your tools in audio. Sorry.
But I still say this is still one of my favourites as well. Up there with Spectre of Lanyon Moor. This is and I've got here as well Liz Sutherland, who played Alison in this. I've got here, look, Dear Mark, my first ever autograph.
Oh my God, that's so...
I was first in the queue. So I looked her up and I thought, what has she done since? I've got her first autograph. I had a look on IMDb just to see what she's done. She's been, she had a part in Doctors, EastEnders, Holby City. She does a lot of video game voiceovers. That's about it, really. But I've got her first.
Stunning CV there. Stunning.
And she's done Winter for the Adept, which is the toppest thing she's done. And I'm talking like Peril there. That's spiffing.
Mama and Papa have abandoned me here in the school.
Actually, no, that's one thing as well. It's set in 1963, which you don't... I feel like it sounds like it's a little bit more... You don't think it's that modern for some reason. Because they're in the middle of nowhere. Okay, there's a helicopter and a radio.
It didn't sound like the 60s to me. I thought it sounded modern, this one.
Oh, I thought it was older. I feel like it was like 30s or 40s in my head.
Really?
That's interesting.
Probably because of Miss Tremaine.
Yeah, maybe.
I am here to purify your spirits. So good. But like, you know what, right? Taken as a whole, I said this has got a brilliantly vivid setting, great set pieces, Nissa solo, wonderfully OTT characters and performances. They were all my goods. My bads were crappy monsters, and they really are. There's a bit where there's two of them talking together, and they've got this kind of voices like this, and she does a bit like this. Like, what is going on now?
Quite like their voices. I thought it was quite. When you hear it on an earphones, it's all a bit squelchy. And speaking of which, talking about spillagers, we have drawn what we think the spillagers look like. So we had a little bit of a disagreement because didn't you say the spillagers was on the front? Who's this supposed to be on the front? This is the spirit, yeah. Not I thought it might have been a spillager.
I think it is a spillager, isn't it?
Oh no! Or is it the poltergeist? I think that's the poltergeist.
What? That's Harding,
isn't it?
No, because he's a man. He's just a bloke.
Okay, I'm really confused. Anyway, we've drawn what we think the spillagers look like.
And I think mine is probably more accurate.
Mine is based on Peter Jurassic's spillager.
Oh, okay. Mine is the Queen Empress.
Can we just say about Peter Jurassic, actually? So he was from Babylon 5, and he's the one who had that sort of spiky hair thing like that round. Whenever I listen to this, I just imagine him with spiky hair throughout this whole thing. I imagine India Fisher marrying Guy from Babylon 5. It's really weird in my head.
He was asked at a convention that Gary Russell was at, like, do you want to be in Doctor Who? And he didn't even know what Doctor Who was. He thought he was signing up to do an audio medical drama because it was called Doctor Who. I thought that was hilarious.
Okay, anyway, should we? Who wants to go first?
Well, I think I went first last time, so off you go.
Okay, so my spillager in my mind when they're like revealed.
I'm going to do the music as well. Dun-dun-dun. Oh my god, that is ghoulish. Oh, that's horrible. I do not think that you're going to say that our pictures are the same.
Okay,
are you ready for this?
What the hell is that?
Okay, so if you could just...
What the hell is that?
At the top there, I put, look, they are relations of the aliens from Morphoton, from Keys of Marinus. That's why they got the eyes. They've got look, scary teeth. They've got this hairy sort of bulbous body. That's so they're so good. They're so good in the snow because it's a snowy setting. You know,
is that their body? That big blobby round thing as well?
Yeah, that's the body there, like the ball sack. But it's really hairy because it's in the snow, and then it's got scary eyes and teeth. Woo.
Well, I can't imagine Miss Montpassant turning into that.
This is Miss Montpassant. My little pigeons!
We are invading. No, it cannot be.
You think we're in Simpatico this time?
Oh my god!
Imagine these two making.
No, I imagine them a bit more human. I imagine them sort of humany with their skin comes off, you know, and it's all a bit.
You know what?
Like
I feel like when our art gallery goes up, I think this will take pride of place. This picture. You know?
Shall we show Andrew Cartmel and then he can decide which one looks more like a spillager?
We'll enter it into the Rusty Davis Next Designer Monster competition. It might be in an episode.
Yeah. There we go. Well.
I do have a few more facts for you.
Oh, yeah, please.
So, one, Cartmel delivered his script to Gary Russell. He got some fabulous feedback. Basically, it ain't good enough. And the Doctor has to do something doctorish at the end. Apparently, in the original draft, the Doctor weren't involved at all with the climax. Russell was not convinced by the Peril Sandoz romance. And so he wanted.
You know what? I'm not anyway. I'm not really in this.
Well,
only because I imagine him as Babylon 5 man. But
maybe she likes playing with his strange hair. Well, and also as well, like they specifically state, don't they, that Alison is 16 and Peril is 19. And I think that was the line that was added to make this a bit more. Because if it was an old man and a 16-year-old, that's weird. That's going back to Bernice Series 1 again with Duran and Emile.
It's funny as well when Alison says that always stands out. She goes, she's, what is it? She's 3 years older than me. 19, she says.
Thank you for spelling that out, Andrew Cartmel. Andrew Cartmel was also told that he didn't describe well enough where people were in the story. And so maybe some of that exposition was down to revisions. My God, we're in the staircase.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know, overall, it is terrific fun. And Sally Faulkner basically takes this from a 7 to a 9 just from her amazing performance.
There we go. Wow.
I've got a question for you then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why don't you rank this 5?
Oh, okay. This might be a little... From what, best to worst?
No, worst to best. Let's go up.
Worst. Worst to best. This is tough because this is a lot of my favourites are here. A lot of my favourites. Okay, so worst. Okay, Red Dawn. Marian Conspiracy.
What? Go on.
Genocide Machine.
Oh, whatever. Genocide Machine is better than Americans. Oh, man. Go on.
Oh, this is tough. This is so tough because these two, I don't know what. Winter for the Adept, Spectre of Lanyon Moor.
Wow, I didn't think you was going to say that.
Oh, those top two are interchangeable though. Even Red Dawn. I just love this batch. Is just the best
For
of
me,
the best.
It's the next batch. I love the next batch. Okay, I would say Red Dawn bottom. Very boring. Well, competent, not boring. But next up, Genocide Machine, for sure. Sophie Aldred, unfortunately, she dives that down to the bottom. Followed by Winter for the Adept, followed by Spectre of Lanyon Moor, and right at the top, the Marian Conspiracy is, you're my great, 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 great grandfather. Oh, I love it so much. I love it.
Shall we find out what Dr. Ho wrote about these back in the day?
What ho, hey ho, it's Joe and Ducko ho. Oho seems to think that this is the Marian Conspiracy is where Colin Baker really comes into his own with the audios.
Well, I think you haven't changed on this one at all. I think because you love Evelyn and you love the Sixth Doctor, I think it's 10 out of 10. I bet you gave it 10 out of 10.
One of the best companion introductions ever, Doc Oho says about Evelyn Smythe. Oh, Anna Rudhin gives a commanding performance as Queen Mary, in turns pitiable, compelling, compassionate, thoughtful, and terrifying.
Did you mention Jo Castellan in your original review before you knew how amazing she was?
Unfortunately, I did not. No, standout performance was entirely for Queen Mary, I'm afraid. I'm so sorry.
Well, that's changed this time because Jo Castleton is the standout of this one.
Oh, I did say the standout moment was the Doctor's admission to having made terrible mistakes in the past gave me goosebumps. But I put Colin Baker as astonishing in that scene. But I don't mention Jo Castleton. Sorry.
Jo Castleton overlooked for all of her life.
All of her life. I'm sure other half don't think that. The Genocide Machine. Oh, I say, look, I give each section like a name. So the Seventh Doctor section is always the real McCoy. And I say, oh dear. And it was all going so well. McCoy is really good at playing it quiet, but when he's asked to play righteous anger, like he does throughout this tale, it all falls to pieces. I disagree with that now. I said earlier, I thought he was fantastic in the scenes where he was, that's one of the most vile things I've ever seen in my life, Let's see what I have to say about Sophie Aldred as Ace. A very poor outing for Ace, and the first step into the descent of her reputation. Sophie Aldred is, by all accounts, a wonderful woman, and she has never shied away from Doctor Who, even after it was cancelled, and she worked wonders in season 25 and 26. However, acting on audio is definitely not her forte, and after a brief taster of it in The Fearmonger, here is a whole story of her shouting and screaming poor dialogue like a kid in a sweet shop without any money. I still agree with that.
It's true, though. It is overwritten quite a bit in...
Yeah, it is. I gave this story a 3 out of 10 and said a hugely disappointing return trip for the Daleks.
Would you give it a 3 now? Would it be a bit higher now?
Yeah, I'd give it like a 6 now. I think a lot of these stories in this bunch I've bumped up because I seem to remember I gave Winter for the Adept a 7, and I'd probably give it an 8 now. So,
Good.
So moving on to Red Dawn, I'd give the standout performance to Nicola Bryant. Rarely given the kudos she deserves, she approaches the less than stellar material in Red Dawn with real gusto and proves Perry to be the best thing about it. Oh my God.
You actually listened to the right story there.
Hello. I put under Isn't It Odd, which is like my sort of bad stuff. Justin Richards, plot master extraordinaire. So why has he forgotten to include one this time?
Fair enough. It not much happens.
Oh no. Oh my God. Listen to this. Stephen Fuel is obviously the great bastard of the universe, Jason Kane. So it's very odd to hear him playing a real villain in this story. Fuel is usually bafflingly sexy on the ear. So I used to think he sounded sexy as well. But his turn here as Paul Webster is dreary. I say He's obviously the bad guy, and it's obvious he will be stopped. So, the Spectre of Lanyon Moor, I say that can you imagine if the Doctor had had this sort of development on TV, Colin Baker's Doctor? God, I love Evelyn. If she were younger and blind, we could have had something great going on. Oh, we could have done. Just think of the children. I say it's the moodiest tale yet, with a fantastic Alistair Locke score. Of course.
Obviously.
And finally, Winter for the Adept. Peter Davison gets a great arrival, materialising in the middle of a poltergeist manifestation. Nyssa is too irritable and unlikable. I still think that. Grumpy old bitch.
Okay, hang on. She has been left out in the cold and she's been abandoned, possibly, at the beginning.
Never been abandoned on a mountain before. The helicopter crash and the image of it burning on the mountainside are gorgeous. Oh, and I say I don't understand the framing device that bookends the story. I kind of agree with that. I'm like, well, it's a nice way in to deliver all that exposition of where they are. But, you know, if you were a craftsman of good audio dialogue, you probably wouldn't need it. Gary Russell himself calls it lazy writing.
It's no different to Bernice's diary entries, though.
Bernice always wrote a diary, didn't she? So that kind of goes with her character. And now how about Mark's chronology moment?
So we are getting into it a bit more now. Now we're building up the Doctor Who story. So let's start off with Marian Conspiracy. We've got a new starter for the Sixth Doctor, basically. He is a redefined character, and he's meeting Evelyn Smythe for the first time. So it's really easy. That's starting off a new season. That's directly after Trial of a Time Lord. He's dropped Mel off after that. It's going straight there after his TV run. So we'll see a bit later on as they build up, you know, where that goes. But this is building up a nice little season of the Sixth Doctor and Evelyn.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, like, all of these Evelyn stories are taking place post Trial of the Time Lord and pre Time in the Rani. So the only thing you've really got to do with these stories is slot them into their own little kind of season, if you know what I mean, like where they fit within Evelyn's story. Because there are stories later,
but then
like Axos and things like that take place earlier in the run.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. As we build it up, we'll just double check that they are going. But at the moment, they're just going in release order. There's no other reason to move them around. And also then with the Sixth Doctor gets other companions later on. So is that before or is that after Evelyn? So it's fairly simple early on. Next then is the Genocide Machine. Now, this one is very interesting because we've got the Seventh Doctor and Ace. So with the Fearmonger, we put that after Survival because it was going towards the sort of New Adventures-y style. The key in this is Ace's character because she's much more juvenile, like we've said. So this could fit quite easily into season 25 or season 26 in my eyes. So the question is, does it go there, maybe in season 26, or do we start a sort of a season 27 and build up something directly after Survival?
There's no details, is there? There's no specific details where they say, well, we've just left Terra Alpha. Let's go to this Carteret library, you know.
No, I know, but I'm going to put it after Survival and build a new season after that, just because of what comes out. So it's going to go before the Fearmonger, but after Survival.
So
we'll put it there for now.
Your brain?
It's my brain for this particular one.
Okay.
At the moment. Well, and also you don't want to put it into season 25 because you already got the Daleks and Remembrance of the Daleks there. You could put it at the beginning of season 26 and make that a Dalek season opener, possibly. You don't want to get it mixed up in season 26 with that Ace trilogy with Ghosts Like Curse of Fenric and everything. You don't want it sort of slap bang in the middle of there.
Okay, so it's opening in season 27 until season 27 actually comes along in the Lost Stories.
Basically, yeah, we're just going to put it there for now.
Okay.
You can see. But that is one that can easily shuffle around because there's nothing really anchoring it apart from Ace's juvenile behaviour. And then, okay, Red Dawn then. Easy to place at the moment between Planet of Fire and Caves of Androzani, because it's just the Fifth Doctor and Peri. And it seems like this is Peri's... I mean, she's fairly settled. She's not too... I mean, she's had the adventure of Planet of Fire, but she's still that very early, that sort of excitable Peri, adventure-y Peri. So we're going to put that there. There's no other way.
Another question, though. Do you think this works where they squeeze in these massive loads of stories between two stories? Because in case of Androzani, right, and I know they didn't know Big Finish were going to come along all these years later, so, you know, but in case of Androzani, it does feel like they've just started traveling together.
I know it does, and it's a shame, but I love the Fifth Doctor and Peri stuff, and I think it's worth the sacrifice of, beginning of Caves of Androzani being a little bit jarring. If you're going to do a marathon, you've got all of... There are going to be a lot of Fifth Doctor and Peri stories, but I think it's worth it. So where are we next? Number 9, Spectre of Lanyon Moor. Again, straight after Marian Conspiracy, building up a nice little Sixth Doctor and Evelyn run, which I really like. Then we've got Winter for the Adept. Now, again, we've put Land of the Dead before or after Time Flight, so then this is going straight again. The only thing is you've got Time Flight, which was a bit chilly, Land of the Dead, you're in Alaska, and now you're on the Swiss Alps with Winter for the Adept. Poor old Nyssa, she's had a freezing time.
Where did she go next? When did she turn up again next? Oh, it's Primeval, I think. No, it's the mutant phase.
Yeah.
Phase.
So then this just adds then in, straight after Land of the Dead, you're building up a nice little Fifth Doctor and Nyssa season as well. So again, because we're so early on, it's really simple to slot these ones in.
That season is going to feature Spare Parts, Circular Time, The Game, starring Sir Ian Chesterton actor William Russell. You know, they get a pretty good run, the Fifth Doctor and Nyssa, before Turlo comes along to ruin things.
So I'm going to build up a little season. The question is, how long is a season? I'm going to base the length of them on the TV seasons that are around them. So, for example, this Seventh Doctor and Ace season will be about four, maybe 5 stories long, just to fit in with the TV. And then the Fifth Doctor ones will be a bit longer to fit in sort of the length of season 19. So where we have our season opener, our sort of finale, we'll see which stories we'll keep that in mind as well, just so you've got a nice flow of the season to go through. So that's what I do anyway.
Well, and this is your thing, you know. This is absolutely your thing. We're playing by your rules now. Okay, you are completely in the driving seat.
So, I suppose you haven't got like the physical CD releases of these. You got the downloads, right?
Me, yeah. No, I did have the CDs. I did have the CDs, but I sold them.
Ah, right. Because do you remember? I've just realised, like around this time, they put a nice little photo of some of the cast in the middle. There we go. There's Peter Davison and Robert Jurassic. Great photo there.
Oh, it's Peter Jurassic.
Who'd I call him?
Robert Jurassic.
Oh, whatever. And then here in Spectre of Lanyon Moor, I just happen to have as well a nice little picture of the
Oh, that's lovely. God, imagine a threesome with that pair.
Yeah. So we'd have to remind me to check out the photos as we go along. I don't know how long that lasted. I think that's only just started with these recent releases.
Well, as I've said to you a million times, black and white can iron out a lot of creases.
Well, all we've got now left to do is our quiz of the episode.
Can I do it this time?
Off you go.
Time for Oral Audacity.
Okay, right. Let's see who. So it was a draw last time. We have a question for each other per story.
Yeah, you didn't get the memo the first time round. Jesus.
All right. So who's going first?
I think that you should go first.
Okay. According to Evelyn, what is the secret to making a good chocolate cake?
You mentioned this in the bloody episode. Using real melted chocolate.
Correct. That's way too easy.
Far too easy. One to me. Okay. What are the names of Evelyn's two friends that she wants saved? That's easy. I think you have to look at that one.
I can't remember now. I cannot remember. Thomas?
Oh, I don't think you're going to get it, I'm afraid.
What is it?
The correct answer is William Leaf and George Crow.
Oh, of course.
Leave her alone, George Crow.
The Daleks count in rels, as they usually do in this. But according to the TARDIS Wikipedia, how long is a rel?
Second?
No.
How long is a rel?
Well, how long is a rel? Yeah.
Yeah, how long is a rel?
Oh, it's 1 minute.
1 minute? When the Dalek thing counts down in the movie, it's like a second. I think the Doctor Who Wikipedia page is lying.
Okay, well, I say it's a minute, so wrong.
And so wrong. Also, Jodie Whittaker gets that wonderful line, doesn't she? Oh, it's a rel.
1 minute.
Who reputedly did the worst Dalek voice in the production of the Genocide Machine?
Well, you've told me that already. Gary Russell.
That is correct.
Yay. Okay. So what? 1-1 so far.
Okay.
Okay, Red Dawn. What is the name of the NASA spacecraft?
Oh, for God's sakes. I wasn't paying that much attention. The Explorer, the Extravaganza.
Close.
Oh, is it? Oh, the Lunar. We're talking true lunar extravaganza here.
No, it's the Argosy.
Of course it is. Who is the executive producer of Red Dawn?
Oh, fuck.
You really swear a lot when you do this quiz.
Because I know it's there somewhere. I just can't. Stephen Fuel.
It's Jacqueline Rayner.
Oh, I thought you meant in the story.
I'm the executive producer. Wrong.
Okay, can you spell the word fugu?
Fogou.
Yes, there we go.
That's kind of easy.
I know it was.
But... that. Spelling. Yeah, okay, I'm going to do that next time. Okay, so in Spectre of Lanyon War, the Doctor, Sixth Doctor, appears with the Brigadier, and Colin Baker appears with Nicholas Courtney on audio. Which other stories allowed Doctor actors to appear alongside Nicholas Courtney? I'm going to need 2, please.
Okay, well, we have Minuet in Hell, where, with Paul McGann. What other audio? Is this just Big Finish?
Yes.
What else did Nicholas Courtney do for Big Finish? Because he didn't do that much.
I know.
When you think about it.
He did appear with another actor who played the Doctor.
I'm going to say it's David Tennant.
Yeah, and in what?
In what? What other thing did David Tennant do? Oh, in the Unit series.
That was a good question, don't you think?
That was good. Yeah. So that's 2-2. I make that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What year is Winter for the Adept set in?
Oh, you said this earlier. 1963.
Yes. Oh, I should have said it earlier, but
You keep doing that, dropping and then saying.
I know. So you and our viewers can pick up and help, and get some information and remember. It's for all of us here.
Well, I'm not simple, I don't need help. I'm pretty proficient with the details. Well, my question is not as easy, I'm afraid. Okay. What is the name of the school in Winter for the Adept?
The Ghost Academy. No, it's something school for girls, isn't it?
I'm going to need a bit more than that, I'm afraid.
Finishing school for girls in the Swiss Alps. The something boarding home for girls. I don't know. The Miss Tremaine boarding girls. I don't know.
Unfortunately, I did not write down the answer, but I know that is not the right answer.
What is the answer?
I don't know.
Well, do they actually say it?
Yeah, she says.
I'll just see if it's in the CD. Oh, it's the Tremaine School.
Did you say that? I don't think you really said that, actually.
I said it's Miss Tremaine's school.
Okay, that is correct. Yay!
That's 3-3, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, another draw.
Oh, my God. We are as good as each other.
We'll have to make the questions harder, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to go for so what stories we've got in the third one? Like in the Holy...
Okay, well, I'll tell everyone.
What is the population of the made-up world? How many people died in the eruption of Pompeii? Something like that.
Yeah, okay. Well, speaking of which then, so next time we are talking about the next 5 Doctor Who releases.
Yes!
Coming up. And they are... The Apocalypse Element, Fires of Vulcan, The Shadow of the Scourge, The Holy Terror, and The Mutant Phase.
The Mutant Phase!
So that, and we'll see how the range continues to grow. That a mixed bag for me for those ones.
But until then, remember, and I never forget this.
What we say?
Finish big.